More agitations and grievances over the Ekiti APC governorship primaries as aspirants allege manipulations. And the chairman of the Ekiti APC governorship primaries, Governor of Jigawa State, Governor Abubakar Badaru, has reacted to the allegations and agitations. He says there is no manipulation of any sort. We hear all the angles, all the sides right here on the program tonight. A warm welcome to you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Politics Today, live on China's television, the nation's news leader. I'm Sean Kimbaloye. Tonight, we begin with the politics of the ruling All Progressives Congress APC, where the governor of Ogun State, Ekiti Abiodun, says some of the leaders of the party will be looking to the President Muhammadu Buhari to give guidance on the zoning arrangement for the convention and 2023 presidential race. Governor Abiodun, in company of former Governor Segun Oshoba and some leaders of the state, paid a visit to the president at a villa today. And here are some of the thoughts of the governor on the issue of the politics of the APC.
I will continue to be guided by the party leadership in line with party discipline. We have the president in place, where the party has formed government. Our president is leader of the party. I believe that His Excellency, Mr. President, will continue to offer us the guidance that's required, and will do that which we need to do under his leadership. So I'm not sure that I am capable or I have the capacity to begin to advise the party when I am just a member of the party and a governor, and the party has a leader who is the president. We are aware that the party is working on zoning, and when that is formalized and ratified by NEC, then it will be made public. So we'll know where the chairman of the party will come from, we'll know where the president will come from, and things will evolve in their own time.
Governor Ekiti Abiodun of Ogun State, after a visit to President Buhari today, alongside some leaders from that state. Tonight, you will hear from all angles as much as possible over the issues of the APC governorship primary. There seems to be some controversies in that exercise in Ekiti State. Don't miss any part of the show tonight. Stick with me. I promise you it will be worth your while. If you are thirsty, or in fact, if you are on your way to the house and you're watching on your mobile, just stay still and try to enjoy every bit of it. But if you're in your home, let's cruise with me, everyone, within this hour. Let's have a taste of your political roundup stories.
A chieftain of the All Progressives Congress in Rivers State, Senator Magnus Abe, says the party will not only be restored on the ballot in 2023, but will win all state elections, including the governorship position. Abe stated this while supervising the inauguration of the executives of a political advocacy group, Rivers Voice of Freedom, and a pro-APC student group in Rivers State. He, however, urged members of the party to be ready to make sacrifices to achieve the target.
Your endeavor and the party grows from strength to strength.
As part of the efforts to ameliorate the sufferings of the recent victims of Boko Haram insurgency and those affected by 2021 flood disaster in Yobe State, Governor Mai Malabuni has commenced distribution of livelihood support to 1,000 victims. Making a symbolic presentation by chairman of the Tarmuwa Local Government Council, Mohammed Lamido, at Babangida, he charged the beneficiaries to make judicious use of the items to improve their economic status. The Nigeria Army has described civil-military relations as very important in shaping the opinion about the conduct of military operations in the country. This disclosure was made by the Chief of Civil-Military Affairs of the Nigerian Army, Major General Marcus Kanye, during a seminar it organized for journalists. According to him, there were many misconceptions passed by mischief makers. Therefore, the department became necessary to interface and help bridge the gap between the Nigerian public and the army.
What you say, the way you say it, and how it's phrased have far-reaching implications than most of us think.
The Nigeria Youth Democratic Party, NYDP, is calling on President Muhammadu Buhari and the leadership of the National Assembly to remove the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakub, over what it describes as negligence of duty and disrespect for the Constitution of Nigeria. Briefing journalists in Abuja, the national chairman of NYDP, Mr. Barry Johnson, accuses INEC of refusing to acknowledge the organization as a political party despite meeting all the requirements provided in the Electoral Act. He says the action by INEC is intended to deny Nigerian youths a level playing field to participate in the 2023 general elections.
Well, let's get right to it, everyone, shall we? It appears, well, the die is cast. As far as the Ekiti State APC governorship primary is concerned, that is because the immediate past secretary to the Ekiti State government, Mr. Badaru Oyebanji, has been declared winner of the governorship primary of the All Progressives Congress in Ekiti State. The chairman of the committee for the primary election, Governor Muhammad Abubakar Badaru of Jigawa State, announced that Oyebanji polled 101,703 votes to defeat 7 other contestants. A total number of 107,877,000 voters were accredited for the exercise, out of which 104,983 voted. 7 other aspirants with their supporters at the end of the morning of that exercise protested alleged irregularities in the conduct of the primary. The primary is still held at most of the designated wards. And here is the winner and the candidate of the APC, Mr. Badaru Oyebanji, who was speaking earlier today or this morning on Channels Television on our sister program, Sunrise Daily.
The process, from my own point of view, is credible, is free, and is fair. We all participated at a stakeholder engagement a day prior to the primaries, and we all agree on the guidelines. And the following day, people went out, they were accredited, and they voted, and there are visuals all over showing party members went out to exercise their franchise. People are entitled to their opinions, but not to their facts. The allegations are not true. The truth of the matter is this is a contest, and a candidate must emerge, and in every contestation, people may differ about the process, about the tactics. But as far as I'm concerned, the 7 people are respected gentlemen. We are brothers. This is a family issue, and I'm sure that's going to be resolved. It's just a storm in the teacup. I'm not bothered. Well, with due respect to my brothers aspirants, none of them claimed that they were disenfranchised. They withdrew from the process themselves. They were not prevented from participating in the process. And like I said, opinions are, people are entitled to their opinions. And but the facts of the matter is that people came out, they voted, they were accredited. And the process was credible, it was free, and it was fair. And whatever issue that might have arisen from this, I assure you, we will resolve it within the APC family. Because they are committed party men. They want Ekiti State to develop, and we are already talking.
That is Badaru Oyebanji, whom you can call the governorship candidate of the APC. Now, some of the aggrieved aspirants have been voicing out their grievances over the conduct of the exercise. Let me allow you to listen to one of them. Kayode Ojo, here are some of his views.
Bottom line is that, as at this moment I'm talking to you, there is no candidate for APC. Nobody has won any election. There was no election here yesterday. And majority of the APC members all over the states reject this craziness, this fraud that was perpetrated by these people, rubber stamped by A.G. Badaru. It's a complete disgrace that we have governors behaving like this. It's an irresponsible behavior to do all these things. Because we have all our info sources that everything they've seen with Governor Fayemi to manipulate these results. All our people from all over the state have resolved to stand against this injustice and have directed that we must seek all necessary avenue peacefully to make sure that a proper election is conducted and a proper candidate is elected to lead our party to that election.
Kayode Ojo, an aspirant, governorship aspirant in the Ekiti governorship primary race. So let's get to hear some more on this one. I'm being joined by a sitting member of the House of Representatives and an aspirant in that contest, Honorable Femi Bamishile. Thank you so much, Honorable, for coming tonight.
Sure, it's a pleasure.
Let me get your view. We heard from Kayode Ojo, we've heard from Badaru Yebanji. You ran in the race. Are you one of those who, obviously one of the seven that is aggrieved of about this exercise?
Yes, I'm one of the aspirants that contested the elections yesterday.
Are you one of the people that are aggrieved?
Without a shadow of doubt, I wouldn't be in the station if I wasn't aggrieved.
You might be here to support Badaru Yebanji.
Oh.
It might be you trying to say, oh, let's move forward. He's our candidate.
No, the party will move forward, but I mean, we have to do things rightly. That's the basic thing.
You don't think things were done rightly?
It wasn't done rightly. It was not.
No, so let's break it down. So for people to understand.
Thank you.
So what is it that was not done rightly?
Thank you. We had a meeting 2 days ago by the officiating minister in the person of the governor of Jigawa State. And he explained to us, without a doubt, all the things that were necessary for everyone to do. And there were basic questions that were raised at that meeting. I remember I asked some basic questions, and other aspirants did. And one very vital question that was posed to us, he brought up an idea of putting the electoral documents, which are the result sheets. That's very vital in any election. Those are the result sheets that brings the results back to the center, collation center. And he said, would we prefer that the result sheets were duplicated and handed over to the electoral officers? Number one, when we were told the electoral officers were picked from amongst those who are in government, serving members of Dr. Kayode Fayemi administration, House of Assembly members, were electoral officers. One barrister from Ikole local government, I can remember clearly. The former deputy chairman of the party was the returning officer of our local government, Oye. This lady came. Unfortunately, I'm not here with pictorial evidences, but all these things have been put together because we'll be putting this in front of the courts.
So you're already going to court?
Oh, without a shadow of doubt, my brother. Without a shadow of doubt.
You're not seeking the internal mechanism.
We have looked at that. One thing you need to understand in democracy, I've been in this game for a while now, 20 years. I contested the last elections with Dr. Kayode Fayemi. These were one of the things we went through. But we understood the fact that it was a man trying to seek for a second term. And by the time he exits, then it gives the opportunity for others to actually take leadership within the state. But for this kind of robbery that happened yesterday, we're not going to take it sitting down like that. It won't work. I've been in this game for a while. I've served as the Speaker of the House of Assembly in the state. I've served virtually all the governors in very strategic positions in the state. I'm now presently a member of the House of Reps. So if we don't speak the voice of the people and allow for this kind of charade to continue in the democracy of this country, we're not going anywhere.
Have you spoken to Governor Fayemi on this matter?
I have not spoken with him.
No, because, I mean, the reason why I'm saying that is, I mean, people talk. And they say,
in politics, yes, in politics we talk, without a doubt.
No, I'm saying that people talk. I mean, there are stories around that. In fact, he was the one instrumental to you getting into the house. You got a ticket into the house on a silver platter.
Without a shadow of doubt, I will narrate that to you.
Yeah, so I mean, the question is whether or not, I mean, you had a conversation you wanted to run, and whether or not you had his blessing and whether or not you are popular on the ground. These are some of the questions that were raised.
Thank you, Sheung. Let me let us back into a bit of history. In 2014, when he lost the elections to Fayose, Governor Fayose then, he left the state when he had an appointment to go for as Minister of Mines in Abuja. I took the party for 3.5 years, funded the party, moving around the 177 wards, 4 times around, 16 local government for 3.5 years. 27 days to primaries, Dr. Kayode Fayemi came and said he wanted to contest the elections. We were all ruffled because we already asked him, were you going to contest? Equally looking at an opportunity for him to do his second term, which he said he wasn't. But at the end of the day, he came, the elections were done, and at the end of the day, he won the primaries. We all supported. Then we had 33 aspirants. We all supported him. He came to my residence the next morning and made it crystal clear to him that, Femi, you did the party well. You supported the party and you held it for 3.5 years, without a doubt. If it wasn't for you, there was no way we could win elections. And he said, you would have the ticket for the House of Reps uncontested. So I was being blessed with the handwork of what I did. So when
it wasn't a favor from Fayemi?
When you say a favor, based on my hard work for the party.
So he doled out to you?
Yes, the ticket of the House of Reps. So there's no way they could have won elections in that state.
Without you?
Not without me, by the grace of God. But I was a major factor in that elections.
Well, at some point you left the party and you came back.
I didn't leave the party. I was in APC.
You've been in APC all along?
No. I started with AED when I came back from the US. I became a member of the House of Assembly in the state as a PDP man. When it was 2 days to the governorship election, I jettisoned PDP as the deputy chairman and joined the party, even knowing that we were going to lose the elections, because Fayose wasn't straight with us in PDP then.
So, I mean, let me ask you, because we're hearing stories now, for some people who are thinking of alternatives. For you, is this the end of the road in terms of wanting to be governor?
No, it's not. We're still in this. We're going to fight this till the end. That's why I say to you, Biodu Yebanji, I don't have an issue with him. It's the process. Okay. He's a brother back in the state.
So what issue do you have with the governor?
I don't have an issue with the governor. It's the process.
The allegation is that he manipulated. The
system manipulated. It was
against you,
obviously, against the 7 of us.
Okay, so let me ask some very critical questions here, so that we take, because I've spoken with Governor Badaru, and he has made some explanations, which I would like you to answer to some of those explanations.
Yes.
Was there a meeting on the eve of the election?
There was. I just told you.
All right, absolutely. No, I just wanted for Nigerians to get it.
That's
you know, what we do it right on this program is politics could be very cumbersome, complicated, and very convoluted, but we try to break it down.
No doubt.
Because it's like mathematics, the figures might be confusing,
right,
but we like to break it down. Anyway, politics is science. So the issue here is there was a meeting on the eve of the election.
Right.
At that meeting, the major issue from the aspirant was that there were no proper representation from all of you in terms of the officials,
having our people
officials from
in the electoral office. That's right.
So what was the proposition of Governor Badaru?
Badaru said to us we should bring 2020.
Did you provide yours?
We surely did. But don't forget, the simple arithmetic to that is there are 16 local, so 177 wards times 3 electoral officers. If you do that sum up, that gives you 531. And with 7 of us, we're asked to bring 20, that's 140. That still gives room to about almost 340-something units or wards that could be manipulated.
Did you make the calculation at the time?
We sure did.
So, I mean, because...
And at that point...
The tape that I watched, Honorable Bamishile, was the tape when, in fact, some of you even gave vote of thanks after the event.
Yes.
Showing that you were happy with the process.
Because it was agreed that we would bring 20 each. And we gave that sum up almost immediately in the meeting. And at the end of the day, the issue here now is the papers for return of results, which is the most vital document, which is the result sheet, was given out to the electoral officers that same night. The originals. They took them home to their places. A lot could have been done to those documents. So we're going to have the elections the next morning, and the result sheets of the elections were already given out to the electoral officers, who are supporters of the so-called candidate.
Wait,
now.
did you raise this point?
We didn't know that because we had left the meeting.
So you feel you were played?
We were naturally played out. And that was why we woke up in the morning.
Were any of your men that you donated or you contributed to the process, did they point that out to you?
They pointed
Did
out.
they get the materials too?
No, right about 12 o'clock, they called us and said to us that the training, there was no training. All they were just doing was telling them that these are the electoral officers, the ones that the party naturally at the state had proposed. And they gave those documents to them. So those boys were helpless. There was nothing they could do. They started calling us at 12 in the morning, 12 a.m. And all we could do was to call the chairman and the secretary. Those who got in touch with the chairman, they asked for a meeting for 9 o'clock. Behold, when it was 7:30 in the morning and everybody was rushing to the party secretariat, they called the chairman. The chairman said clearly to us he wasn't going to honor our meeting again because we had already put up a document that was flying around that the election was going to be manipulated. What was wrong?
Was it going to be easy for someone who is conducting an election to have another meeting when he has had a meeting the night before?
He already told us, he gave the time at 9 o'clock that we're going to meet for 9.
Again?
Yes.
In the morning of the election?
In the morning, yes.
So he didn't meet with you?
He did not. He blatantly told us that we had to just go for the elections and forgo the whole thing. It doesn't matter what we do. So this is our party.
What do you make out of that?
Fraud.
On which side?
From the side of the umpire. Intent.
You're saying this categorically?
Without a shadow of doubt.
That's a governor. That's
my brother.
No. The reason I'm saying is that the integrity of this man is...
let us come out of this now. What do you mean that's a governor? He's a Nigerian. He was elected into office. He was a man before a governor.
You know the assumption?
What is the assumption?
That you are
government. I'm a member.
Just a moment. That you're a government as you're sitting.
Yes.
You're a member. You're a lawmaker.
That's right.
So when we assume...
So if I do wrong...
Just a moment. That one assume the trust that Honorable Bamishile, who is member of government...
Don't governors betray...
So if you say that he committed fraud, I'm asking...
Governors
could he have done that?
Listen, don't governors betray the authority given to them? Haven't you seen governors being put to jail for fraud? I'm asking the question. We are all Nigerians. This is the problem we all have in Nigerian democracy and humans in this country. We need to say it the way it is.
And so what exactly is the way it is?
Simple.
In Ekiti?
We are all human. And don't let us make people God. They're not mini-gods. They were elected into office. It doesn't matter if they got what you call immunity on them. It's for a time and a process, a season. That's what I'm saying. So the man came with an intent to actually rob the entire state. And he robbed us clean.
Because the way I saw that was this situation was described again was that maybe some of those whom you think got the benefit of this exercise were smarter than some of you, and they played you, politically speaking.
Okay, if you think that's the issue, that is very, very unfair. What do you mean play us in politics?
So the question is that you either win or you lose. And
we all know that.
If sometimes, if the winner gets the mathematics right, because this is all about numbers.
I've contested elections severally in this country. I've contested to go to the House of Assembly, I lost. I didn't go fighting. I've contested to go to the House of Reps, I lost. I've won elections. I want to become the member of the House of Assembly. I was the Speaker in the House of Assembly. I contested to win, and never have I been taken to court before. So for me as a person, it's not about a bad loser or a sole loser. No, not at all. It's about the process. That's what we're talking about here. If we allow for this to go, this happened in Anambra State. That's why we lost the way we did in Anambra. The primaries of Anambra, they came up with about 300 or 240-something thousand votes. Are you going to tell me, as a sitting member of the House of Reps, you allotted to me 400 votes? My ward has close to about 400 to 500 voter registration. If they're going to cheat nicely, if these people were smart enough to cheat nicely, they would have given my local government to me and given other aspirants local government and could have robbed us in other local government. But if you look at the charade that is there, you're telling a man who came from Oye that he has only 3 votes. What are you saying? So this really doesn't make sense.
How much of effort did you put into this?
Into the elections? My brother.
In terms of campaign?
You can ask this question.
How many times did you go around your ward?
I went around about almost twice, and I did the largest, and I mean, obviously it must have been shown on TV in channels. My followership in Ekiti is unimaginable when it comes to grassroots politics. I make bold to say this. It's best the party corrects this anomaly. If they don't, we're going to meet at the election.
There's no way the party can correct it because today is the deadline. They have to submit the names of the candidates tomorrow.
Sheung, there are ways we work in party. And if they want to damn the consequences, so be it.
You want to dare your party?
Sheung, it's not a threat, it's a prophecy. If they want to damn the consequences and make bold to say this on national television, we can go out with it.
That you are going to lose or win?
I don't know. It's not a threat, it's a prophecy.
Because Fayose is solidly behind the other candidate.
I'm not talking, I don't even see what it is.
No, I don't even say Bisi Kolawole is the candidate of the PDP.
I don't see, but
the question is that...
Bisi Kolawole too, coincidentally, at the point in time, was one of my members in the House of Assembly when I was the Speaker. So we're not strangers to ourselves.
So if you have fears and concerns about what is happening internally in your party,
yes,
you probably are thinking that the opposition might do better.
I don't know. I just got to vote.
What is your biggest fear about what is happening in your party?
They had better change their mind.
Or what?
I don't know.
I mean, what is the worst that could happen if nothing?
The worst that could happen is the party will lose an election.
Even with a Fayemi on seat as a sitting
governor?
Doesn't
matter. Wasn't Fayose a governor of the state when he lost? Wasn't Fayemi the governor of the state when Fayose won him?
How do you think the party, I mean, from your own point of view, you are definitely aggrieved. And we thought that some of you are meeting, you came to Abuja to meet with the leadership of the party.
That's
Were
right.
you successful in doing that?
We've not seen the national chairman, and I think everybody has decided on what they wanted to do. But at least I've met every single process that was meant to do, we've done. A petition has been put in, we're going to court.
Petition to the party?
That's right, to the party and the court.
So you filed a suit already?
That's right.
To the court?
That's right.
So what are you aiming to get out of that?
To stop the entire process.
Is that not too late? That's the question.
There's so many things
based on the schedule and the calendar.
There's so many things that could happen in the party.
You think you could still be the candidate of your party?
I hope the party rethinks.
You think you're a better candidate or you're a best man for the job?
I'm not talking about better or best man. We're talking about the process.
No, I'm asking now. You think that you have been robbed in this exercise.
Without a doubt.
So you think that you want to be governor of Ekiti State. No, it's not as if you think. You want to be governor of Ekiti State.
If I didn't want to be governor, I wouldn't be running the election.
So the question is that you think that you're the best man to be the governor of Ekiti State.
That's what I've just said to you now, Sheung. It's not about being the best man or the best person to run for the state. It's about the process. Let the people determine. I simply define democracy, government of the people, by the people, for the people, allowing the people to determine the process in a free contest.
On a final note, Honorable Bamishele, Governor Fayemi is your leader in Ekiti State.
No doubt.
And you've not been able to speak with him.
I've not.
I assume that he's watching right now.
I would love for him to
What would you say to him now?
And Mr. Governor, it's an opportunity for you to do what is right.
What would you say to the candidate too?
I don't have an issue with the candidate, sincerely. I don't.
What do you have the issue with?
The process.
All right. Honorable Bamishele, thank you so much for coming tonight. And I will hope that you're able to resolve this internally in your party so that things don't escalate. I know you to be a gentleman.
I am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate your coming. Let's take a break, everyone. And when we return, Governor Muhammad Abubakar Badaru, who is the chairman of the APC governorship primary election, will be reacting to some of the issues raised by the aggrieved members, especially by Honorable Bamishele. Join us again, everyone. We'll hear the Badaru side of the story. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. We're still staying with Ekiti State. We are not done just yet. And it's just not about Ekiti alone. It's about the APC in Ekiti State and the governorship primary held yesterday. Amidst all the agitations and grievances expressed by some of the aspirants, the chairman of the primary committee, Governor Abubakar Badaru of Jigawa State, has been reacting to the issues. We caught up with him earlier today in Abuja. Take a listen to this interview with Governor Badaru. It's a pleasure talking to you, Your Excellency, Governor Badaru of Jigawa State. Thank you so much indeed.
It's really my pleasure.
You just arrived in Abuja from chairing the committee that conducted the APC governorship primary in Ekiti State. But that primary, that election, has been bedeviled by allegations of fraud, allegations of rigging in favor of a certain candidate. And 7 of the candidates, almost at the last minute, said they were not happy and they were calling for cancellation. Is that exercise foolproof that it was a free and fair one?
Yeah, sure, it is indeed a free and fair election exercise. You see, a day before, that is exactly on Wednesday, in the afternoon, we had meeting with all the aspirants. 7 attended that meeting, and we have agreement on where to proceed on the election. And we all agree. We parted ways happy. Issues were raised, including the issues they raised in the morning. Their main allegation was that those that are to be the local persons in charge of the election, that's the returning agents, and those that for those wards are local governments. Some of them are government employees. But our guideline says the party members should take good care of the exercise. We are sent only 7 of us, and there are 177 wards and 16 local governments. So we need to take people from the local party members to man those wards and local government. They raised that issue at the meeting. And I said, okay, if you are not happy with the list of people that are supposed to work on their primaries, why don't you submit 2020 from your own so we incorporate them in the list? And they said, okay. I asked them, will that be okay? They said, okay, we have video for that meeting, and we have minutes and video for that meeting, where they said it's okay. And indeed, they sent the list of 2020 people, which we incorporate in the main list and the posting. And early in the morning, we sent to them the posting, including their men, the whole list of posting, including their men. We couldn't send earlier because some of them sent to us the list around 10, 11, some even 11:30. And so we have to work on the list again. And in the morning, we send the list to them, each ward, who will be there and how, and their people are included on that list.
So there was no way that the committee could have verified the names, because the major allegation was that the list of local government election committee and the ward election committee were made up solely by party members and political appointees that had before now openly endorsed the candidate of Biodun Yebanji, the one that has been anointed by the government.
Well, that was the issue they raised at our meeting.
But were you able to verify the list before them?
And we verified the list, but what we said is, since that is the case, you also bring 2020. So it is not only from the alleged supporters of Biodun that we take, but we also take from you. And they were satisfied with that agreement. And we took their list, incorporate them. So if they said some of them are loyal to Abiodun, we include 2020 from them that are also loyal to them. And above all, Shehu, we asked them to provide enough agents in all the ward centers so that they will check what is happening. And I make it clear that if they are afraid that somebody will take the result sheets and write result and return to me, I will never accept result written where primaries did not take place. And that was what happened. In 177 wards, only 11 wards, primaries could not take place because of violence, and I did not accept the results for those 11. And all these things are on video.
Have you verified or confirmed the cause of the violence?
Well, they said most of the 11 local governments are traced really to some of the aspirants. For instance, there is a local government where 5 wards election did not take place. They tell us the situation, they send some videos to us. And that ward apparently is where there is the base of one of the candidates, aspirants, I mean. So They decide not to do it and disrupt it, and I cancelled. I didn't take result from those wards. So if there were issues in other wards, they could have raised alarm and call me or call the secretary, tell him, so what, there is an issue. So what, they wrote result. So what, they didn't do the election. But every ward of the 166 that election took place, it was done freely and fairly. And if they have people in those places, and if things are done badly, it could have been a problem, and that could have been the same with the 11.
But Governor,
yes.
As an experienced politician and someone who would abided by the tenets of democracy, when more than half, in fact, the majority of those who are running in that election agitated, and just in the early hours of that election, they said the process is not fair, and they were calling for the cancellation. I mean, should you have yielded to their clamor to say, okay, let's start from the beginning?
No, but there is no basis, Cheryl. There are people that we met, not quite 12 hours or 16 hours, and agree on how to run this election.
But they said that what they agreed on was not.
No, it is exactly what was attended to. We incorporated the number of people they bring, because that was the major issue at that meeting. And we incorporated those people, and we sent to them the list of those people on the list. And we asked them to post them, to send them to those areas. And that has been done. So there was no any other issue that was not attended to.
Would you say the candidate that the party is presenting is, compared to the other aspirants, is as strong to be formidable enough to run in this election? Is it popular enough?
Well, that is what we have seen was the primaries. You know, that is the advantage sometimes of direct primaries, because in direct primaries it's actually the party members that chooses a candidate, and they come out in mass. And you have to believe me, you are representative. The representative of channels have been in Ekiti, and they have gone round, and they have seen people coming up. It's not a primary that was written in one room. It is a primary that was done on the field. So everybody see what happens in all those 166 wards that election took place. And there are videos all around for that, for each ward.
I'm very sure that you have heard that you also went to Ekiti State to do the bidding of your friend, Governor Fayemi.
But whoever not,
allegations.
Yes, that is the allegation. I hear a lot of allegations, even money, what and this. But that will always come in politics. People will allege different things, but they know, and they know, all the aspirants know, that nobody in this country will make me write a result that is not genuine.
Badaru is not that kind of person.
I can never, and you know, I can never sit down and write somebody's result. Nobody can push me to do that. I can't. So, and let them come and challenge that we wrote the result and the election didn't happen, or the primaries didn't happen.
So it's foolproof, watertight, what you have done?
Certainly. If you decide to boycott, and those other people went there to conduct the primaries, fine. But even in some, they got some votes. And some participated. In some of from the reports I get, in some of the wards, their agents were there fighting to get the election done. And if they are popular, if they really boycott, why would they only get the boycott in 11 out of 166?
What did you discover? Because as a sitting governor, you're not just a sitting, you're ranking, you're a two-time governor. So you must have seen something that went wrong in the politics of the APC in Ekiti State. You're a leader of the party. The party is somewhat in disarray after that primary.
No, it's not.
What have you discovered?
No, it's not. No, it's not.
With those big wigs that are angry.
They are angry, but I am sure they have the party at heart. And they also, we discuss, they also people of proven integrity. and they know what happened there, and they care about the party, and they want to retain power in Ekiti in the party. And I'm sure we'll go back to discuss and go back to agree. And above all, right in their hearts, they know I did not connive with anybody to shortchange them.
Not even your friends carry the fire?
No, and he asked fire me, even fire me will not ask me to do the wrong thing. Believe me.
Why would he not do?
He will not.
Why?
He knows I will not do.
Why? What does he know about you that makes him think so?
He knows enough. We have been around for some time.
So, I mean, in all of this, what happened in Ekiti in terms of the violence, in terms of some of the discrepancy, do you feel...
No discrepancy.
No, well, I mean, people who had violence and the issue of people getting angry and not happy with the alleged discrepancy and all of that. Do you fear that this case might go to court and it might affect the chances of your party?
No, I don't think so, because I don't think there is any reason to go to court. And like I've said, they are experienced politicians, people of proven integrity, and they know that the party comes first. And they all do things and have advantages in one way or the other, in sometimes on the party's platform. And I'm sure they will respect what we have done, and they will come together to work with us to deliver Ekiti State to APC.
As a governor, you probably would have seen something from yesterday and now that you're thinking maybe Governor Fayemi should have done a few things. What are those things that you think he should have done to have avoided this kind of mess?
No, but I asked him, haven't you discussed with this? He said he discussed with most of them. But people want to aspire, they have right to aspire. But he's going to reach out to them, certainly from today, to have discussion. And I will reach out to some of them to clear their mind that all those allegations that were going around are wrong, and prove to them with videos and evidences that we did the right thing.
You have evidence?
I have.
That
I have videos in most of the wards where the election took place, and people, some of the members of the committee were there to ask people around, is everything okay? Are you doing well? How is it? We have some of those videos.
So, I mean, this is just a means to an end. The election itself is the big deal. With what you've seen, do you think that your party in Ekiti stand a chance against, for example, the PDP?
Very much so, because with all those allegations, I went to maybe 10, 15, 20 wards yesterday, moving freely to check what is going on. So if there is real actual tension or problem, I wouldn't have been moving around in Ekiti with those allegations.
Because there were tape videos going around where you find some members of the party who were there to vote saying they will not vote, no voting, no election in Ekiti, no governorship election in Ekiti. I'm very sure you have heard and seen some of those.
Sharon, you can also organize 20, 30 people, 50 people. This is politics, to do those shouting. Well, you have to go on the ground in the field. If this election was disrupted in maybe 50, 60 wards of the state, then there would be concern. But 11 out of 177. So, I mean...
Would you have preferred that the party adopted the indirect rather than the direct mode?
Whatever model you take, there will be allegations.
No, I'm saying that in the manner in which the conduct went, I mean, would it have been easier or more effective to have conducted an indirect primary?
But whichever primary you choose, there will always be allegation. People will not be satisfied in one way or the other. The same thing, and the PDP come, they have just finished. They did indirect, and there were also allegations. People were not happy with what happened. It's politics. People want their interest. If they are winning, that is the best. If they are losing, everything is wrong. That is how it is. But I am happy that we did direct, because going around and the report I have from all the other six members of the panel, because we share them. Each one takes, some takes 2 local governments, some take 3 local governments. We went out at 8 and returned at 6 to be sure that we supervise ourselves what is happening in all those wards. And the report I'm getting is people are coming out to votes. And out of 183 registered members, about 107 were out there. 107 were out there to cast their vote. And this is real.
Interesting. I mean, which will point me to your national convention is just a few weeks ago. I mean, away from today. In fact, it's less than a month from today. And so there are a lot of issues on the ground in your party. And I know that your friend Governor Buni is in the center of all these organizations. What is your biggest fears? Your biggest fear as in relation to the national convention?
Well, the biggest fear is the success of the party. A successful party will certainly have so many people aspiring to be something in the party. And that is what we are seeing now. So many contestants in different posts. But that we cannot say is a fear, it's a luxury. Because certainly we'll come over it, we'll negotiate and have consensus and come out of that convention stronger than ever.
You think that consensus is a good way to go?
It's a good way to go, and I'm sure the leader of the party, President Muhammad Buhari, will support that concession so that we come out stronger. And I think all the governors are poised to making sure that we reach some level of consensus before that day so that we will have smooth convention.
Are you thinking that the president is willing to intervene in the matter?
I'm very sure he is the father of the party. He's the leader of the party. So I'm sure he lives with the party at heart. And when situation warrants him to interfere to make sure that it is done well, he will do so.
So consensus is a good way for the party to run?
It's a good way for the party to run because of the popularity of the party, because of the successes of the party, there are a lot of people aspiring to be. So the best is to have some level of consensus before we go to the convention and all have minimum contest before we go to the convention.
Would your party be considering for the presidential election to zone to the south? Do you think it's a fair way to go?
Well, it has not been discussed yet at the party level, but the zoning will come out soon for the party offices. And I think the Mala leadership will come up with the zoning formula that will be endorsed by the governors and all the party leaders. And if that is done, we will now probably from that have a cue on where the president will come.
As a politician, after President Buhari's 8th year in office, for the APC, where I'm asking you, this is a personal question, not as a party now, but from your own point of view, Governor Badaru, where do you think the president should come from in 2023 from your party?
Well, like I've said, I'm the chairman of strategy committee that probably will do the zoning. So I cannot comment on this issue publicly. I have my personal opinion, but I believe justice must be done in this matter.
And what will be justice?
When we come to discuss at my meeting, like I said, we will come up with that. But I am the chairman of the strategy committee, and I am certainly one of the people that will look at the zoning situation. So I cannot preempt what will come out from that meeting.
Some people will describe the situation in your party, that your party is in a state of disrepair with what is happening internally. People are aggrieved. The Senator Abdullahi Reconciliation Committee is going round. Even at that, people are still saying they don't believe in that committee because, according to them, they don't think that that is going to work. And there are fears that as soon as President Buhari's tenure is over, that is the end of the APC. Do you fear that at the exit of some major personalities and characters in the APC, that the APC may have just bid themselves goodbye in the mainstream of Nigeria politics?
No, I have no such fear at all. And what is happening today is normal. It's normal with human beings. It's normal with success. It's only a successful family that have crisis. It's only a successful family that have food in the table to share, that one will say, I did not have enough, and the other will say, I want that piece. So we are a successful family. We will be afraid if things like this are not happening. But you've seen, in every day, every week, we see people joining us or discussing on ways to join the party. So whatever situation you see in the party, it will be calm. People will work with the party, because the formation that come to be called as APC are people that will certainly work with APC and believe in APC.
Because the question a lot of people are asking again is whether or not you are optimistic that your party will not disintegrate after the President Buhari's tenure. And the question again that you need to answer is whether or not your party has been able to live up to the expectation based on the promises you made at the campaign.
Well, I assure you, given the circumstances, President Muhammad Buhari has done very, very well, given the circumstances.
Without the proviso of circumstance. In the face of the performance.
Now, let me tell you
would
this.
You say, based on the promises?
He has done excellently well.
All right. Thank you so much, Governor. Badaru. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you.
That's some portion of interview with Governor Abubakar Badaru, the governor of Jigawa State, and was the chair of the committee that conducted the Ekiti APC governorship primary. I signed off Honorable Bamishile earlier, but I changed my mind to say he should wait for 30 seconds because I wanted to get to hear his view on what the governor said. Honorable Bamishile.
Yes.
Let me get your view.
Thank you. You clearly had some admittance from the governor himself by saying some people have benefited from the party, so it should be the turn of others and all that. He said it clearly at the program. So in other words, what they were saying, because this allegation has come for a while, that the governor had a particular interest in the same aspirant who has now become candidate of the party. Has it not come to fore now? This has been on for over a month and a half, and the governor continuously denied it. And it has come to play out. So Governor Badaru has ascertained that by saying some people get benefits now and some should get at the end of the day. That's one. Two, most importantly, he said he gave us, and I told you here, I never even knew he had an interview before me. He said he gave 2020, which was a fact without a doubt. But I just told you a simple arithmetic here now. 2020 into 177 gives you 531. And if you, three times 177, 3 per local government, times per ward, times 177, gives you 531. And if you say you've given 7 aspirants, 2020, that's 140. If you take 140 of 531, you're still left with about 300 and something. So in those 300 and something words, or 200 and some change words, what happens there? And the most important part, what I told you, that he has never been able to answer, is they gave the result sheet a night before the election.
So he said something on the final note.
Yes.
That you're going to come together no matter what. Are you willing to sheath your sword and come together?
If they're willing to do the right things, it's the process.
Right.
Shane, I just told you, it's just the process.
Honorable Bamishile, thank you so much. I wanted to give you the benefit of doubt to be able to at least react to what he said. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm sure Kimale. Bye for now.